So I've been thinking a lot about the Proverbs 31 woman, and I've been thinking how it seems like this day and age there is a negative, I don't know if it's like a stigma or what exactly to say about it, but to submit to your husband, to be a stay-at-home mom, to be a homemaker, all of those things, you're kind of looked down on by the world, it appears to be. So when I think about the Proverbs 31 woman, and in regards to myself as someone who's professing to follow Christ and is married and raising kids, I read Proverbs 31, and that is who I want to be. That is my goal. That's my guide, my map to who I should be and who I should copy and try to be like. And so basically I kind of want to go through that. I want to go through that, share some of my thoughts, and share just what I've been stewing on over the last, honestly, couple of years. So I read it the other day, and it starts out, the heart of her husband safely trusts in her, and then she does him good and not evil. So when I think about that, I think about all the women that talk about their husbands, and they usually have something negative to say about their husband, and they're like, oh, he does this or that. And so when I read this, she does him good and not evil, don't talk bad about your husband. Talk good about him. No matter who you're around, talk good about him. Bring out the good. Because if you're focused on the good, that's what you're going to recognize, and that's what you're going to see instead of the negatives all the time. Because I've been doing some research on the brain lately too, and what you tell yourself is what you believe. And if you're focusing on the positives and you're telling yourself the positive, your brain literally rewires pathways, so you're more naturally going to focus on the positives and the good versus the negatives. So anyways, little side note. She seeks wool and flax and works with her hands. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night. And that is a big one. I did a little cross study on rising early, because the last, probably 2 months now, I've been trying to get up really early with my husband, and we get up in the morning, we have coffee, and we do our Bible reading, and we do our morning questions, which are basically setting the tone for the day. So it's 5 questions that we came up with to kind of set our mood and focus on the positives versus the negatives. And so it's, what blessings did God give us yesterday? What do we want to accomplish today? Who can we bless or encourage today? What are we thankful for, and what are we excited about? Those are the 5 that we chose. So anyways, we do that in the morning. So when I came across the verse where she rises while it is yet night, that one really stuck out to me. And so I did a little cross-referencing, and there's Mark chapter 1 verse 35 talks about rising early. Well, this is talking about Jesus. He rose early while still dark and went to a desolate place and prayed. And then Psalm 119, 147 says, I rise before dawn and cry for help. I hope in your words. Psalms 88:13, the end of the verse says, in the morning my prayer comes before you. Psalm 5 verse 3, O Lord, in the morning you hear my voice. Psalm 90 verse 14, satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love, that we may rejoice and be glad all our days. So when I think about that, God hears us in the morning. And I don't know if it, obviously he hears us all the time, but I think in the morning we're not distracted with the cares of the world and with our responsibilities for the day. And so I think we can actually give time to our relationship with God and focus on that, and kind of be quiet with him and focus on what is he trying to say back to us. So then going on to Proverbs 31, she provides food for her household and portions for her maidservants. She considers a field and buys it from profits. and from profits plants a vineyard. And so when I'm reading these, she is not idle. She's not just sitting around and waiting for her husband to provide for her and her kids. She's out doing stuff. Like, she's providing not only for her home, but she's doing business and finding things that she can do that's providing for her family too, and for her husband and for herself, and giving her something that is productive, that she's contributing to the family also. Then let's see, she girds herself with strength and strengthens her arms. She perceives that her merchandise is good. She's adding value to people. She's creating content or products or services that are adding value. And that's what we should be doing in this world, is adding value. She stretches out her hand to the distaff. And so I wasn't exactly sure what that was, so I looked it up, and it says it's designed to hold unspun fibers like wool or flax and keeping them untangled. So then the second part of that verse, and her hand holds the spindle, which is used to twist the fibers off the distaff and make thread. So then she's doing all that stuff, and she's helping the poor and needy. She's not afraid of snow. Her family is clothed in scarlet. She makes tapestry, which back then, I guess they used them either for wall hangings for art or for luxurious, whatever that word is, bed coverings. So then her clothing is fine linen and purple. And purple in Bible times symbolized royalty, wealth, and authority. And it was reserved for kings, high-ranking officials, and the priesthood. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Then she goes on and she makes linen garments and sells them. She supplies sashes to the merchants, which I guess sashes were used to tie up their robes, because obviously everybody wore flowing robes back then. So they used them to secure their flowing robes. Which basically that shows like her resourcefulness and her business mind, that she recognized that there's a need, that's something people used every day, and she went and she supplied for that need. And then, let's see, strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in the time to come. So I've thought a lot about that too, and I'm like, okay, we live in very strange times. And obviously Ecclesiastes says there's nothing new under the sun. But I'm like, a lot of this stuff is new to me. There's AI, there's all this stuff. But I'm like, we don't have to, if we're believing and trusting in God, we don't have to be concerned about what's happening and what's going to come. All we have to do is focus on our relationship with God and what does He have us here to do. And so when I read this, that she shall rejoice in the time to come, it makes me realize, like, if I'm fearful or scared or frustrated with what's going on, my focus is on the wrong thing. I need to turn my eyes more heavenly and focus on my relationship with God and furthering His kingdom than the fears and the cares of this world. So that's kind of a little encouragement. Like, if we are feeling fearful, we need to turn our eyes more to Christ, because He did not give us a spirit of fear. He gave us a spirit or a sound mind, and I forget how the rest of the verse goes. But we don't have to be worried about tomorrow. So then going on, she opens her mouth with wisdom. And my little side note on that is she's not gossiping. She's not complaining. She's not talking about frivolous stuff. She is talking with wisdom. And so that's kind of a little encouragement to me, to hopefully talk less in the words of my mouth, to be wise and encouraging and uplifting instead of tearing people down. On her tongue is the law of kindness. So when I think about that, I also think kind of what I said before, like not complaining, not tearing people down, not gossiping, honestly not talking about things that are pointless. Like, if I can't do something to change something, why am I spending my time talking about it or thinking about it? There's so much that I could be focusing my mind on that I shouldn't be distracted by the cares of the world that I can't have any part in controlling. Then, going back to Proverbs, she watches over the ways of her household. She doesn't eat the bread of idleness. And so I wanted to do a little cross study on idleness because obviously there's a lot in the Bible about being slothful and go to the ant, you sluggard. Like all these verses on laziness and idleness, and that is basically the antitheses of what I want to be. I want to be very hardworking and adding value. And so I did a few more cross-reference verses. So Proverbs 16:27, a worthless person plots evil, and his speech is like a scorching fire. 2 Thessalonians 3:11, for we hear that some among you walk in idleness, not busy at work, but busy bodies. 1 Timothy 5:13. This section, this verse, in context, it was talking about the church caring for widows. And so it was saying to care for older widows. And this verse in particular is in referencing young widows and how the church should not take care of them, because besides that, they, young widows, learn to be idlers, going about house to house, and not only idlers, but also gossips and busybodies. So, with that one, I'm like, okay, so much of the time when I get around other women and we're just sitting around not doing a project, our mouths just go, and we talk about things that are not uplifting. It's kind of pointless conversation. Even if it's not talking about other people or gossiping, it's just not beneficial. And so I want to eliminate more of that. And when I look at the Proverbs 31 woman, I don't see her doing that. I see her being busy working on adding value and content to the world that's bringing up the people around her. And so my desire and my goal is to do more of that. Because then her children rise up and call her blessed, and her husband also. He praises her. Many daughters have done well, but you excel them all. And then she is a woman who fears the Lord. And I think that is the basis of who she was. Without her fear of the Lord, she could not have done any of this. And so that's the thing that I keep going back to. If I want to do even an eighth of what she did, I have to fear the Lord. And it's through God's strength and through God's ability that we are able to do a percentage of this. And I think to be able to do all of what she did is fully possible the more that we become like Christ. And so the more that we give ourselves to Christ and allow His Spirit to work in us, the more that He's going to fill us with the ability to channel the Proverbs 31 woman. Because when I look at her, she has the attributes of Christ. She's not filled with worldly cares and attributes. She's filled with who Christ is. And so my challenge to myself and to anyone else that watches this is, let's become more and more like Christ, and let's encourage one another to add value to the people around us, and not only add value, but also encourage people. Like, even if we're not sure how to add value, we can, with the words of our mouths and with the features on our face, with a smile or with a positive thought or action or look or any, like, so much of who we are is determined by the motion and the smile on our face, the words that we say, the words that we're thinking, the thoughts that are in our heads. And so I want to turn all that more heaven focused. I want the words that I say, the thoughts that I think, the actions of my body to shine the light of Jesus to the people around me. And the more that I can become like Christ, the more that I'm naturally going to be like this Proverbs 31 woman. And so those are just kind of some of my thoughts and some of the stuff I've been stewing on over the last while. So yeah, hopefully over time I can continue to be more like Christ and channel more of this Proverbs 31 woman, and I would encourage all of you to also seek after God more and really become who He created you to be. Because we all have gifts and abilities, and we all have talents, and let's really discover what those are by seeking the will of God and allowing Him to work in our lives and make us more and more like Him.